Well, hello and welcome to all of our viewers around the world. I'm Fiona Langsharp, IBCLC Director of Communications and MC here at Gold Learning. Well, it's one of those exciting times of the year where we get to celebrate. And I hope that you're ready to come and celebrate with us on March 6th as we invite all of our IBCLCs and lift them up and engage with them. And you don't have to be an IBCLC to come, but it's the day that we celebrate the profession, how profound it is, the changes that it's making across the board when it comes to our breastfeeding families, and all the things that we aspire and want to see in the future. So just know that that's what we're going to be doing that day. And we also have, of course, a presentation for you because that's what we do here at Gold Learning. We have wonderful education that's available to you live and on demand. And on March 6th, Johanna Sargeant is going to be here with us live. So you can go over to the website right now at goldlearning.com and register for this event. So that's going to be very exciting. Johanna, it's so good to have you here. Welcome back.
Thank you, Fiona. I absolutely love talking with you guys. So thank you for having me.
Yes, well, equally so. And this is going to be a great topic. I've been talking about it a lot already as we kind of have the warm up to March 6th. And it is about mastering lactation conversations, creating successful and achievable care plans. Now, what I've said is everybody could really benefit. Anyone that works in perinatal, care can really benefit from this because at some point we're talking about care plans, we're talking about lactation, good, breastfeeding and so forth and so on. So everyone is invited to come and learn. I love your perspective, Johanna, and that's why we invited you to come and talk about it. We just knew that this is an area that is very passionate towards you. So I want to get right into the topic itself because it really does have a lot to lend to the profession and, what we can do to really create space for our clients. So right off I have a whole list of things for you. So I'm just gonna ask you, tell me, I want to know, help me understand when you have a client that is resistant, has told you all the right things, but then becomes resistant to the plan. Um, where have things gone wrong? Like I don't always connect, because and some of it is because it's time restraints. So tell me how I get through those sticking points of resistance.
Right. So I think that is absolutely something that we have all experienced, I'm sure, where you feel like we have given all of the necessary information for them. We've kind of ticked all of the boxes to give them the empathy and the compassion that they need. And then we find that actually this plan that we are creating with them, they seem to not really connect with it, and they almost argue against why this is now not going to work, even though we did all of that work beforehand.
Right.
Or they come back to us with the same issues over and over again, and they're not able to implement things. And in that scenario, very often, actually probably every time, I think that what has happened is that we have not taken the time to figure out truly what their barriers are. And
Mm,
we need to take a step back, and instead of attempting to fix their problem and presuming that we know what the issue is, we need to go in with zero assumption and figure out actually what is it that is making this difficult for this
mm.
person with zero assumption. And I think one of the hard things is for us to kind of block our own judgment in this as well. And any reason that they have, whether we think that is valid or not, is a reason that is stopping them from achieving their goal. So we have to actually discover those things before we can move forward.
It almost feels like I had this visual while you were talking. I was like, oh, take the plan, screw it up, start from scratch. Start over with a fresh set of eyes, to see what is happening, to listen. And this is where I get stuck to because the knowledge I feel, of course, is power. This is why we get hired. This is why we work in our with our different associations and so institutions and such. So I've got a lot of knowledge, but how does this blend together with my empathy? Because this is where, again, time restraints, want to get the job
Mhm.
done. I've given
Mhm.
you the information. But here I am, I have to sit back and now I have to, put that empathy into place. I feel like sometimes that takes a lot of restraint on my part to not just keep giving the knowledge and knowledge and knowledge. When
Mhm.
do I take
Yep.
a moment? When do I know that it's the right time to sit back?
I think actually we have to sit back the entire time, all the time, until it is appropriate for us to ask the person if they're ready to receive that information yet. So
Mm,
instead of just kind of plowing into giving information, giving the evidence, telling them everything we know, and therefore now they should be able to make a decision, instead we ask them questions about their situation, ask them, why is this hard? Why is that hard? What is difficult for you in this situation? And then after they've shared where they're at, we can say to them, is it okay for you if I give you a little bit of information that might help you to move forward or might help you to make a decision? And
mm,
then, I mean, most of the time they will say, like, yes, of course, it's why I'm
right.
here, it's what I'm paying you for. But they need to be at the point where they're open to receiving that information, not where they are still wanting to share their perspective with us. So they have to
Mm,
do all of the sharing first.
right.
Then we have to ask permission. Are you okay? Are you ready for me to share some information that would help you? And if we
Mm,
don't have that little step of asking permission, it's such a small thing, but we know very clearly from the psychological research that if we just plow in with the information, that very often people are actually more likely to do the opposite of what we're telling them to do, that they immediately feel this threat to freedom in some way and become resistant. So if we ask their permission first, then it's like the door has become open and they're ready for this information to actually help them.
wow. Mind blown.
It's such a
I'm
small thing. It
I
can
know.
change so much
I'm
stuff.
thinking about, yeah, and I'm thinking how true it is. Like I'm thinking about the clients I've had previously and
Mm,
what when it's worked, when it hasn't, how I've been able to approach it differently. Because I think we're always redefining, how we're working. We're always growing as professionals because, that's what a lot of us do is we love to be able to build on our own practice, over the years. I love that part though. I
mhm.
love thinking that, I'm going to get permission to move forward by giving them the knowledge now. Now, you said something very interesting there, that this part about the freedom to make, you said the freedom to make the decision. Is that what you said about, with that knowledge? And so
Yeah.
that's why you believe that, or what you know from the research, that there's resistance there
Yeah.
when too much information comes too soon. Is that
hmm
correct?
Yeah. And when I think as soon as they feel that there is some kind of resistance to their freedom. So if they
Hmm.
feel like now I don't have a choice anymore,
Right.
now I've been given this information, so I should therefore get up at 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. and pump. That's what she's telling me now. And that's a
Right.
threat to their freedom and a threat to their ability to choose freely. And as soon as that
Mm,
feeling comes into place, then a shutdown starts to happen. So we
yeah.
need to get to the point where we can give that kind of information while still keeping them open.
I feel it in my body. I feel that right now because
Mhm,
a lot of us are like that. We're very sensitive to the situations we're in. And I feel that right now. I'm envisioning talking to my clients and how that might feel. Let's talk about defining success because I think that this is something I go in with a very clear picture all the time
mhm,
about what success is going to look like. As soon as I hear kind of some of the concepts have been happening, some of the things that they're going through,
mhm,
some of the disasters that have trailed along since the beginning, I'm like, okay, well, I know what success looks like.
mhm,
And
mhm.
so I have that real resistance to, have to divert my own thinking into what theirs look like. But it goes beyond that as well in terms of, lactation success, because there's so much nuanced behavior in it. What is it that I have to do as a practitioner just to continue to sort of resist, wanting to almost force a solution
Mhm.
versus, look at, problem solving.
Well, I think like you're very right in that we all go into it with a goal that we personally want to achieve by the end of
Hmm.
every consultation. And it is hard if what we want for them to be able to achieve actually is not what they want. And that happens. We know that happens. And to be honest, that's where I need to have a whinge to the people that are in my life after the fact. I can talk to them about the fact that I found this hard and this was really annoying and that really drove me a little bit crazy. But when I'm in there, of course, that doesn't come out in any way whatsoever.
Hmm.
And the thing that is really necessary in every consultation is to make sure that we are really clear with what this client actually wants. So
Mm.
never to have this presumption that this client wants to be able to exclusively breastfeed, for example,
Right.
that we're never
Yeah.
going to go in with that assumption. And I think that any time that we are aware that maybe that is potentially not their ultimate goal. Maybe they want to be able to give a couple of bottles occasionally. Maybe they actually would love to be able to do 50-50. As soon as we go into it with this openness, then again, there is this lack of resistance. So we can again get them to tell us actually what their true goal is. And as long as they feel safe enough with us to be able to share that information without feeling judged by our profession,
Right.
then we are good to go and we can go forward with creating a plan that actually will be successful for these
Mm.
people.
So really what I hear you saying, it's about creating that space for vulnerability, and
Absolutely, yeah.
setting aside, it's a lot about setting aside our own opinions, our own strategies. We really have to be able to put all those. I also heard you say, though, whinging afterwards to people in our midst, because sometimes things don't go our way, or it's not even that. Like, I think most of us understand as counselors, that there are aspects to, of course, we're going to meet the client where they're at. We're going to create a plan that, is going to work for them. But the downside to that is that these, again, defining success, in all of this, we can somewhat, there is this predictability that we sort of foreshadow what might happen if they don't do certain things.
Mm-hmm,
But the
mm-hmm,
choice alone is theirs. We're just here as support workers, in terms of, making sure that they do have that information. What if there is this thought in my mind that I'm if they don't follow this, Johanna, it potentially could lead to premature weaning or so forth and so on. How
mm-hmm.
much of it do I have to disclose? Should I disclose at that time at a consult? What is my responsibility there?
That's a really tricky question, actually. I think that I never want to be in a situation where someone feels like I have been a gatekeeper in some way, like I had information that
Mm-hmm.
I chose not to give them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think like in all of my consultations, I do try very hard in amongst all of the other stuff to be really transparent with my
Right.
information
Yeah.
and to say to them that, there are some hard facts here and
Mm-hmm.
this is where this could lead. We don't know for sure if it's going to potentially go that way, but I feel like it's really important that I share that information with you.
Right.
Again, with the permission beforehand to do so.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
we ask them if they feel okay with us telling them this tricky information because I want them to be able to truly make a choice where they feel they have enough information to make a good choice. But
Mm.
I think that kind of transparency with respect is
Sure.
really an important part of our job.
Oh, I love that. Those are really deep things and complex things. These are real
Absolutely.
complex emotions. And it just lends to, how important it is that we're prepared, you know, for all of these attributes when it comes to, planning, supporting, and, creating these sort of successful spaces for
Mm.
our clients. Johanna, always so good to talk to you. Thank you, my
I could
friend.
talk to you for forever, Fiona. You know it.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. This topic is really complex, and but I know that you're going to provide us some tools and skills. You've heard a few of them today already, and I'm really excited to meet you again just in a couple of weeks here, March 6th for most of you. So head over to goldlearning.com right now. You'll see that we're celebrating IBCLC Day with Johanna Sargeant, and you can pop over there and register for this presentation. Johanna's going to be here live with us, so if you can come to the live event, that would be brilliant. We can also have, of course, our live Q&A afterwards you'll be able to join us for, but it will be recorded, so you'll have an opportunity to listen to the recording afterwards. Share it with your friends and colleagues. Thank you again, Johanna Sargeant, for being with me here today. We'll look forward to seeing you on the day.
Thank you, Fiona.